Welcome back to DigitLab TV. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Protection of Personal Information Act that has recently been passed by Parliament, we believe, and will be signed by a President later this year and put into action most likely at the beginning of 2014. It's a huge act that really needs to be taken a look at by marketers. Essentially it looks at personal information. So anything from an email address to a telephone number is going to become part of that personal information because it links to a personal identity. Because of that fact, it's obvious that marketers really need to be thinking about this. So Darren and I are just going to have a chat about this at the moment. And Darren, the first thing is that I want to ask you is, what is going to actually change? What is going to be limited by our ability as marketers to capture personal information on behalf of our clients?
Well, nothing really changes. It's just there are certain laws governing what information we collect and how we collect it. There are some flagged items. There's some things about religion, ethnic groups, that kind of stuff that we have to look out for, and there may be licenses that are needed to gather that kind of information, but it's not too clear yet what those are. So.
Okay, cool. So, and then also one of the big things I know is a huge factor is if you ever start capturing anything regarding an account number or children or anything around that, those are all now you know there's a flag and you should be chatting to the POPI Association, isn't it?
Yes, definitely. The regulatory will actually have to enforce licenses for those kind of things. So collection of account numbers, like I said, dealing with anybody under the age of 18, they will all have to be. And then obviously dealing with information across borders is quite a big thing.
Yeah.
Do you want to chat more about that?
Yeah, I think the nicest thing about this whole act is that this act brings South Africa to a level where personal information is protected to the same degree as it is in the United States and in many other first world countries. And the basic law is in those first world countries that have good personal information protection acts, that you cannot actually take data out of that country and put it into one that has a lesser act in play. In other words, they're not holding their personal protection at the same light. When we have this act in play early next year, we'll actually be able to do a lot more international business, and we'll be a much better destination for international business when it comes to data. And because big data is becoming such a huge part of the world, I think we're going to see as marketers really big opportunities to offer more global business opportunities and marketing opportunities to our clients. And then just one final question, consent. Now this is a huge topic in the Act, but for consent itself, what's the main thing we really need to be thinking about?
Well, when you give consent, when people sign up basically for your newsletters or anything, if you're in an app and people are signing up to use your app, you got to give specific consent for what people's data is going to be used for.
Yeah.
So if you are sending out an email newsletter and you make somebody sign up for that, you now then can't go and market them tire specials or something like that. You know, you got to give specific consent for what you're going to use their data for.
Exactly. And I think the biggest risk for clients now is not just that we need to comply to this, but actually the penalties inside of this is going to be massive, like in the region of sort of 10 million rand that clients of people, of agencies and marketers, they're actually going to be putting themselves at risk to this sort of nature of 10 million rand if they don't look after personal information correctly.
Yeah.
And my understanding of one of the big things around consent is that we really need to just understand that if we've got consent to use data in a particular way, that we can't combine it with data in another format and use it in a different way. That we can only use data the way in which we have consent.
Yeah, it limits the processing of that data.
Yeah.
So the less you process it, the better it is for you.
Exactly, and the better it is for the consumer and for the customer at the end of the day, which is why this act is going into play.
Yeah.
So the big tip at the end of the day is terms and conditions and privacy policies are basically your big key areas to really be looking at.
Yeah, and get them done properly.
Yeah. Well, that's it on the Protection of Personal Information Act. That's pretty much just an overview of a few things that we really think you need to be looking at. Thanks very much to Michalsons Attorneys for their input into this, and if you're looking for someone to actually walk you through this, we suggest them, or you can chat to us. We're busy taking our clients through this, and we're working very closely with them. Thanks very much. I hope you enjoyed the chat. Cheers.